have with us Dr. Jitendra Singh, Union Minister of State, a key policy maker shaping India's science, technology, and administrative reforms. Welcome to the week, sir. My first question to you would be on the Gaganyaan impact. What will be the single biggest outcome of Gaganyaan for India's space future? Which new technology do you see driving India's aerospace growth the most?
No, I think India's ascent in the space sector already started. Is very well being recognized by the world across. India is also now considered to be an equal partner even in our large scale collaborations. No longer that we are a follower, and we are offering cues already to them. In fact, even though the landing on the moon happened for the first time way back in 1969 by an American, but the discovery of the water molecules on the surface of moon was done by our mission, and we were the first to land on the surface of southern pole. So there are many firsts to us. So now it's been recognized, and therefore the world looks up to us. So Gaganyaan, if you ask, it will be the, I think, maybe only the second country to land on the surface of moon after Neil Armstrong. That is, on the one hand, establishes or recreates our capabilities in space exploration, and at the same time, when you see it as a wholesome package, along with the samples collected by Chandrayaan from the surface of moon, the experiments done by Shubhanshu Shukla aboard the ISS in the microgravity, which are related to life sciences, to the agriculture, that would give us a whole lot of inputs which would be of great application even on the surface of Earth. And I think that would be another reiteration that India is now at par. We are in the front line. And of course, we are already using space technology for infrastructure, for development works, for ease of living, besides launching rockets or human or space missions.
Right. So, with young astronauts like Shubhanshu Shukla, stepping in, how crucial is the role of youth in shaping India's human space flight journey?
No, I think overall also youth have an immense role when, and there's no other option to it because India today comprises more than 70% of population below the age of 40. So when we talk of Viksit Bharat, when we talk of next 20, 25 years, obviously the torchbearers have to be youth because they are the majority population. In fact, they are everywhere. They have a huge stake and value everywhere, even in determining the outcome of an election. Youth is now the key voter, no longer the elders that it was about two generations earlier. They would say if you catch hold of a headmaster taking a walk in the morning, he'll go and motivate the others. It's now no longer so. Youth have actually taken over every sector, including the space sector, and more so, as you rightly mentioned, space sector calls for a lot of acclimatization, a lot of adaptation to a different kind of a milieu. So the younger an individual is, the advantage he or she has, which also was the case with Shubhanshu, because of the four astronauts who've been trained for Gaganyaan. One advantage, of course, they are all equal with him, was that he was the youngest.
Right. Sir. So, with this question, I would like to add this. Do you think that Gaganyaan project will open doors for scientists, engineers, and even women astronauts in coming future?
Absolutely, there's no difference of person being man or woman. If you recall, on the 15th of August 2018, when Prime Minister Modi first time made the announcement from the ramparts of Red Fort, announcing the Gaganyaan, announcing that one of the Indians would be there, the exact phrase that he used would be कि बहुत जल्द भारत का एक बेटा या बेटी. So mind his
Right.
words. So which means that it could be anybody. Now this is also incidental that we have four persons right now who are happen to be males and happen to be from Air Force because they already have certain amount of training. But tomorrow we'll have from the non forces sector as well. And if you see internationally, there are as many women. In fact, the team head of even this Axiom mission was a woman, and that was a 65-year-old lady who's been there up in the space sector for more than 600 days, almost 2 years in different parts.
Right. Sir.
So, and even uh, over here in our ISRO setup, many of the major projects are led by women. Aditya team head is a lady from Tamil Nadu, Najir. Even Chandrayaan second, the joint director number two in the team was a lady called Kalpana. So everywhere it's like that.
So, do you see Gaganyaan paving the way for India to join international human spaceflight missions or an eventual space station itself?
Yeah, we will have a station if everything goes as we have planned. Next space station, as Prime Minister also spoke in his video message on the National Space Day, we have scheduled it for the right time for the timing at 2035, which would be named as Bharatiya Antariksh Station, and then maybe 5 years later, an Indian on the surface of moon.
2035 would be a crucial year because this Pradhan Mantri has also launched saying that
Yeah,
Suraksha
Suraksha Chakra, yeah,
Chakra,
absolutely.
and your
No,
ministry
but
is also going to play a
and
major role into
yeah,
it.
and now that you have referred to that, even in the making of Suraksha Chakra, space technology is going to play an important role.
Yes.
So you can say that 3035 is again going to be a huge, huge milestone for space technology. Besides setting up Bharatiya Antariksh Station, the Suraksha Chakra will also be contributed hugely by the space technology.
Right. So, with India pushing 3 nm chip design and AI, how is the government aligning the semiconductor mission with space grade needs for projects like the Bharatiya Antariksh
No,
mission?
absolutely. Semiconductors are going to be used uh, in varied applications. Uh, and small modular reactors also, particularly when you have dense areas, you have factory setups, you have society buildings, you have inaccessible areas, and so also in case of space missions. So they are going to have wide applications uh, across the fields, across the domain, including space.
Right. So, what experiments would you like to see India's astronauts perform in orbit? How do you see these missions or to the moon or Mars office on the
No,
horizon?
like the recent mission, there were seven categories of experiments broadly. The most interesting was the life sciences, which were done to see the the behavior of certain body functions in the space, but have relevance on the Earth. Like for example, one is myogenesis, study of muscle wasting, muscle regeneration, and how to strategize its recovery. Now, over here in the planet Earth, you have lot many cases where you have disuse, atrophy, disuse of muscles. I mean, the medicals are familiar with that. For example, in certain malignancies, cancers, you have muscle wasting. Sometimes in diabetes mellitus, sometimes also in an ordinary fracture. If you get a fracture of the leg and you're asked to remain immobilized for a month or so, your muscles get wasted, then you're asked to do physiotherapy.
Right.
So all these inputs gathered from there will be applicable here. Similarly, there was another set of experiments which is also relevant to the media persons. What are the cognitive effects of the continuous watching of electronic gadgets if you sit before the computer, the screen as is done now? How does it affect your thinking, your thought process, and your mental efficiency? Similarly, for growth, you have the experiments of growing seedlings, methi, etc., in microgravity. So if you are able to find some better outcomes, you could reproduce that milieu even here, because or even in the lab or otherwise, because now we are in the process of regenerative processes, genetic applications. So all that is going to have application even on Earth, and that's why I said that day the experiments are going to benefit people living on earth, but not confined only to 140 crore Indians, to the entire world, mankind, which means what Prime Minister keeps saying, Vishwa Hindu Bharat, is actually happened in the Axiom mission through the medium of Subhanshu Shukla.
So, after Spardic, when will India start monetizing in space docking and satellite servicing for global clients?
Yeah, we have actually we started docking undocking experience with SpaceX. Now with the Chandrayaan 4, this will be more uh, extensive. Multiple dockings and undockings happening. When Chandrayaan 4 happens, it will be somewhere I think around 2028 or so. So we'll have 5 modules, and they'll have to be launched from 2 different sites close together. Then they go up, join together, then they separate out. One of them goes down, collects the whatever samples from the surface of the moon, comes back, transfers it to the other one. The other one goes up, transfers it to the third one, and the fourth one brings it down. So when the module which will come down will be just about 20% of the whole mass that would have gone up, because every component would separate out for a separate function. So that multiple docking, undocking, docking, undocking would virtually, give a good finish to our experience. And then only we have the Bharat Antariksh Station, which of course will require docking and undocking, as you saw in the case of ISS.
So India has planned.
And then monetization will also happen, because one day if you start tourism,
Hmm.
space tourism, carrying people up for 2 days, 3 days, or a weekend, that would again require an efficient and a foolproof docking.
Do you
and
think
docking.
we have a future there?
I think maybe not
Space
immediate,
tourism?
but just as you land back individuals, you'll have to train them, of course. There are certain activities now, for example, even when a human being goes up and comes back, he would have to be retrieved from water. So that retrieving from water would require some amount of training. Only yesterday we have done the parachute landing from a distance of 3 to 4 kilometers also. So that would require some training. But as we start improving in our capabilities, I think that could happen. If not
You
today,
can say that space tourism is what India is eyeing.
not India is eyeing, but it's a global phenomenon. Space is a part of the global journey, and India is now one of the frontline travelers.
Right. So, coming down to spy satellites and PPP, India has planned 52 spy satellites in 5 years with private firms. How will national security be ensured to this public-private partnership?
So that safeguards have already been taken into place. So, we have a very structured PPP arrangement called an interface called InSpace, which is mandated to determine the nature of collaboration, the scale of collaboration, even the entities who are to collaborate with both private and public sector. So all this is taken care of, and but we are also quite liberal in the sense that even the foreign investment is allowed, FDI is relaxed.
Right. So, 1,000 crore VC fund has been cleared, but space tech funding fell last year. How will this fund bridge the valley of death for startups and support launch vehicles, satellites, and services?
No, mainly to promote startups, because till about 3-4 years back, the concept of startups in the space sector was hardly heard of. People thought this is not bad. Now suddenly we are close to 400, and some of them have become huge entrepreneurs making good fortune. So now the startup doesn't in space does not mean setting up rockets. It could be involved in so many other activities. You could have startups even in doing this survey activity, mapping of the lands, even your smart city programs. So the huge lot of scope in space is much wider. Telecommunication, telemedicine, agriculture. So they could come in anywhere. It is just that rockets looks fanciful and catches the attention. But otherwise the field is very wide, and therefore in order to encourage now, because suddenly the interest has gone up. For example, aerospace engineering is a stream which has suddenly caught up in the last 2 years or 3 years. Earlier on, it was not a preferred branch in engineering. And that one can judge when you see the counseling patterns in IIT JEE exam.
Right.
There was a time of 20 years back, the preference was to electronic communication. Before that, the preference was computers. Then there was somewhere mechanical, like that. Now suddenly aerospace has become very favorite.
So, India has targeted 8% of the global space market by 2033. Beyond satellite-based launches, what new technologies and exports will help India compete with SpaceX and China?
No, see, as I said, the conversation is mostly around what is going up in this space. But our almost 50% of our application is not on the space, on the earth, through the space maybe. Even in defense warfare, what you saw in Operations Sindoor was a synergy of space technology and atomic energy.
Right.
So, in the years to come, that economy growth depends on both the factors: how much wealth is generated and how much wealth is saved. Now, all these schemes, like for example, Gati Shakti, is a beautiful infrastructure scheme. It saves on time, saves on money. You don't have to get clearances from different departments. The computer, the images tell you all. So that money saved also is addition to the economy. Similarly, in agriculture, you can predict when to sow the crop and not to how to do cross sewing, all those things. So, in multiple ways, this will add to our economy. And that is why now we are saying that today we are 8 billion. We were almost dismal till few years back. Today we are 8 billion US dollar. But in 10 years, we may go up 4 or 5 times because pace is going to grow faster. So we'll be about 40, 45 billion US dollar. And in fact, contributing to the growth of India from rank 4 to rank 3 and so on.
So, Subhanshu Shukla, India, every kid has watched him coming back and giving a lot of things. What is your message to the youth out there who wanted to study and make career in the space
No, that's
sciences?
because earlier on, it's not the fault of the children or the youngsters. They didn't know that there is a livelihood or career in space sector. Very few, because we have a beautiful world-class institute in Thiruvananthapuram, which is also the admission is through IIT JEE. They have same exam. Engineering, they just stick one, the preference. So I think there is admission of about 150 batch. And the placement used to be 100%, but almost 80% of them had to go abroad, NASA and other places. There was no much of job avenues. In the last 3-4 years, after the space reform, the opening up of the private sector, and opening up so many other avenues, suddenly there's livelihood avenue in space. So to attract the youngsters, you have to give them the prospect of profitability. You can't just attract them by lofty ideals and then, because when the youngster sees his peer, driving in a BMW, he says, what the hell, I would rather prefer doing what he's doing. Now they see a career here. Our early startups, one of them, for example, has opened up, I think, one of the first factories in private sector manufacturing rockets. That is in Hyderabad.
Okay.
And that is in millions. So there is now lucrative avenue of livelihood earning in space. And that is what is attracting the youngsters.
So,
And
Subhanshu
of course,
Shukla,
the glamour is also there if you take a space mission.
right. Subhanshu Shukla was from Forces, Air Force. Would you encourage civilians joining these space
Of course,
missions in future?
certainly, this pool is going to enlarge. I was saying that day also, when I said on the National Space Day, I said we have created an asset for it, the asset of these 4 astronauts. This mission was just incidental. Our actual mission for which they were trained is Gaganyaan, which is going to happen in 2027. So all are equal. In the sense that for that mission we'll have required this officer 2. Then if we have a subsequent maybe another 2, we may require more number. We need to have a larger pool. And in that larger pool we'll have males, females, even civilians. Actually right now when we suddenly started off and nobody was prepared. So the relatively better prepared was someone from Air Force because they were piloting jet pilots at a high speed and up there at the altitude. But later on, as the training begins, we may even have space physicians, space biotechnologists. Now, most of the experiments which were conducted by Swashu were actually to be done by a biotechnologist. But we don't have a trained biotechnologist going up.
Right.
It's a different thing that he proved to be a good learner and perform that. So we'll have even maybe media person going there to report real time because we are going to have the satellite communication now.
Right.
We've already set a satellite, that was an American satellite launched from Sriharikota. So I think all domains they would like to, for value addition to their career also, they would like to get trained.
So this was Dr. Singh explaining us how 2035 is going to be a crucial year, not only for India's Sudarshan Chakra as PM Modi has announced on 15th of August, but also for the space technology which will help India making a bigger impact in the entire world.